Guys, welcome to Legally on America's Friday Night Gun News. I'm, of course, Paul Glasgow. Hey, guys, as we always do, I'm going to wait until a bunch of you guys get in the room because, man, look, we've got a lot of stuff to go over tonight. It's been a busy week from a gun news standpoint. Let's see here. Again, as I always do, let me pull you guys up. Yep, some of our good friends that normally are rolling in here. Shark Chucker, James C., Big Mo, DB Cooper, Jay Griff, Shark Chucker, hello. Jay Griff. Jay Griff says, let's just vote now. E-Man, let him stay out or kick him out now. Personally, let's see where he goes. If he goes into his religious conversation again this week, we'll let his religious conversation again this week. We'll let him hit the road. If he can keep it gun related, I'm okay with that. But again, I don't want him dominating the conversation either. I want to make sure everybody else has a chance to kick in also. I don't know if you're talking to me, DB Cooper. You said it says I know you think you found out who I am, but you're wrong. I don't mean any disrespect, but if you're talking to me, I haven't tried to figure out who you are. I mean, again, no disrespect, but I don't know if that may not be directed at me because I don't know what would give anyone the impression that I was trying to find out who anyone is, honestly. You said you're in the news. Okay. Well, maybe you can enlighten us because maybe it has escaped us that you're in the news and that maybe we you kind of hitting blind inside me here. The Cooper lore, I mean. Now I'm completely lost, so I really don't know what you're talking about. So I'm going to go on to everybody else now. Hey, Misfit Minuteman, good to see you. Gilbert, Joe Randall. Hey, here he is, E-Man. E-Man, I'm going to warn you. If you don't, first of all, one more caps lock and you're gone. I'm not going to keep repeating that. This is pretty, I know you're a kid, but this is childish stuff here. Also, if you go into your religious rants, this is a gun show. We're going to keep it gun related this week. So please keep it like that. If you try to dominate the conversation, you will also be booted. So we're going to have to lay down some ground rules here. So, and we have a lot to go over, so I doubt you're going to have much of a voice anyway, because I'm not going to have time to deal much with you. And Occupy Democrats, I mean, come on. You know what? Jared, if you want to, go ahead and boot him. I'm not going to. I have too much to go over without you guys starting an argument behind the scenes and all that. So I want to go ahead and let's get rid of him. We don't need these candy asses being in here. Let's see. I might have already said it, but let's see. Let me go back. Dominic Baselli or Bakeli. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, and I apologize if I said it wrong. Big Mo Joe Diffie, Armando Contreras. Oh, I got you, DB Cooper. Yeah, I'll follow you. That's the DB Cooper I know back in the 70s. If you're still around and got bags of money, I'd take one if you don't mind. Ken West, Milspec Grunt, Fred Hill, Darrow Romine or Romine. Again, if I mispronounce your names, I apologize. Gilbert, Warsaw Patriot, Joe Randall, Vincent Callahan. Okay, I'm going to get right into it, guys. I got a bunch of stuff. Oh, I'm sorry, Bocella. Is that right? Dominic Bocella? Maybe that's it. You said you butchered it. I apologize. Ashley Lecompson here also. All right, guys. I put a video out this week on HR 7115. For anybody that is not aware of that, I will go over it briefly, but I will point you to the video that I did put out. It is an extremely overreaching bill. You can see I've marked my stuff all up. It's ridiculous how this thing is set up, but it's pretty much aimed at, man, I personally think it's eventually aimed at AR-15s and semi-automatic handguns and firearms, period. However, They try to put it in the cotton candy coating of 3D printed guns because that's the latest thing that has gotten people's attention that everybody's scared of. We know that when the Democrats get scared of something, they use those names because they feel like the rest of the general public is just as stupid as them, and they're going to use those same names to strike fear into the general public. Fortunately, most of the general public is not as stupid as most Democrats. So anyway, they name it the 3D Firearms Prohibition Act. However, when you look at the bill, again, this is HR 7115 for anybody that wants to. If you look at the title of it, right there, that is the only place in the entire bill that you will read the words 3D Firearms Prohibition Act. That's the only place you will read the words 3D. They do not appear anywhere else in this entire bill. Does that not tell you how full of crap the Democrats are? They've included something in their title to get people's attention that does not exist anywhere in the freaking bill that they're proposing. It doesn't even allude to 3D printed anything or 3D anything. Nothing. That is simply something they put in there. I mean, that alone ought to tell you how deceitful they are. It's incredible how deceitful these people can be. But they go on to talk about, essentially, they're really looking at Polymer 80, like that's the handgun manufacturer that makes the 80% polymer lower that's very similar to a Glock. And of course, the 80% lowers that you can get for an AR-15. That's what they're really, the meat of this bill is. However, a lot of the other bill goes into things that will actually ban a semi-automatic handgun at some point, or a semi-automatic rifle. But the craziest thing about it all, I'm not saying I'm willing to give up the polymer 80s or the 80% lowers. I'm not ceding that at all. I'm not giving the government the ability to take those away from us. But I understand why they're after those. I understand it, because somebody who doesn't understand the gun industry and is too stupid to realize that criminals are using regular guns, they don't print their own, they don't make their own. We all know that. But the ignorant DC politicians are too stupid to realize that these magical ghost guns are just not used in crimes. They're just not used in crimes. They're not. We're smart enough to get that. They are not. They're that stupid. So I understand why they're going after 80% lowers and polymer 80 handguns. I get that. But they're including in here any parts used to complete one of those, which includes everything from a bolt carrier group to a handguard to a pistol grip, maybe even optics, sights that you bolt on top of it, a spring kit, a trigger kit, pins, the anti-walk little things that you put on it. All that stuff would be illegal to sell, advertise, possess, buy, use. You wouldn't be able to use any of that to upgrade anything. If you had a spring break in your 100-year-old 1911, you would not be permitted to buy that spring or put that spring in your gun. You think I'm exaggerating? Go read it. Let's see here. Let me show you where that is in the event you might have missed that. Let me find it, guys, and I apologize. I've got all my stuff highlighted here, so I'll be able to get to it pretty quick. Here we go. Under definitions. And again, guys, if you want to refer to it, HR 7115, you can always go, just like I do, to congress.gov. Congress.gov will bring you to any of these bills that you want to see. And again, this one is HR 7115. It says under definitions, term number 2, the term assault weapons parts kit. And again, I'm using their terminology. That's not mine. The term assault weapons parts kit means any part. Let me stress this word. It doesn't say a part that functions as the firing mechanism or anything like that. It says any part. So any part or combination of parts designed and intended to enable a consumer who possesses all such necessary parts to assemble a semi-automatic assault weapon. Tell me I'm wrong. I would love for somebody to be able to prove to me that I'm definitely wrong. Because I want to be wrong about this one. I want to be wrong that we have this many people in Washington who are this deceitful. Guys, this thing is co-sponsored by a lot of people. I don't have it in the video that I put out. Here it is. This thing is co-sponsored by, it's sponsored by Mr. Pallone. Of course, naturally, he's from New Jersey. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 people so far are co-sponsoring this. 13 Americans, 13 legislators, 13 of what they call leaders in our world are telling you and I that you can no longer go to Brownells or Midway USA and purchase a simple spring kit. You're not going to be able to buy any of that. Again, it doesn't say something, it doesn't even say the lower that's not serialized. It's not even that specific because it says any part needed to complete it. The buttstock, the buffer tube, the buffer spring, the buffer itself. None of those things would be permissible to purchase, possess, sell under this bill. You think it doesn't matter who you vote for? All these people out there, and I say it too sometimes about the Republicans, but all these people out there that say, oh, it doesn't matter who you vote for. It's a two-party system, so it doesn't really matter. They're all scumbags. They are all scumbags. This is all Democrats right here. If you can get lower than a scumbag, that's what the Democrats are. And that's who's pushing these anti-gun bills. The Republicans would never get behind a bill like this. As much of a rhino as these Republicans are and as spineless as Republicans are, the Republicans will only get behind a bill if the general public is crying on the street corner and getting emotional about things. That's when the Republicans cave in to gun control. But as far-reaching as this is, to include parts kits, to take the average everyday Joe that's trying to do a do-it-yourself upgrade on his serialized gun. Make no mistake, they don't, even though they focus on and they talk about polymer 80s and 80% lowers in this bill, they're not telling you can't buy a parts kit to build your polymer 80 or your 80% lower. That's not what they're saying. They're not restricting all of these gun parts to not be admissible for you to purchase or buy or use on your 80% lower. They're telling you any part to complete a semi-automatic firearm, which they call an assault weapon, is going to be outlawed. So don't think that I'm taking this out of context. I'm reading this per word. Again, you can go look at our video that will tell you exactly. I break it down a little bit more than that. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. These people have not been elected. They haven't gained control yet because that happens in January, but they haven't even had elected control of the House of Representatives for a whole week when this bill came out. That's how fast they are and how bold they are to show their hand, how unconstitutional and un-American they are to put this kind of garbage out there this quickly. I went back and looked, and the bill itself, what was election day? The 6th? That was Tuesday, so 6. That means that the Thursday before the election, November 2nd, is when this bill, introduced in the House on November 2nd. That's when they floated this bill. And all these co-sponsors piled on the 9th. In other words, these co-sponsors were such cowards. This bill was floated and they thought they would win the House, just like most people thought they would win the House. That wasn't a surprise. But a lot of these cowards waited until after the midterm elections on Tuesday before they threw their hat in the ring and like, oh yeah, gun control. Yeah, we're back. Because they were so afraid to lose these races out there. How cowardly is that? They won't stand for anything if it's going to potentially cost them a vote or a potential win in an election. These people are all such cowards in Washington, D.C. You know, I couldn't stand having one of these people as my freaking neighbor. There's no way. I can't be around that kind of corruption and spinelessness and a bunch of cowards like that living in my neighborhood and around my family. I just couldn't do it. Another thing that came out this week, I'm going to move on and we'll go back to some questions and things like that. real quick, like I just popped up and saw it. Warsaw Patriot asked, it's not just rifles, right? Pistols and shotguns as well. It is. It's pistols and shotguns. It's all guns. It's all semi-automatics that can receive a box magazine. So this Origin 12 shotgun back here, it would include that, but not regular tube-fed semi-automatic shotguns like we all grew up hunting with. It would not, technically, it would not include that for now. Obviously, it's just baby steps. Once they start outlawing things like the Origin 12, they move on to the next thing. You know how it works. I mean, it's baby steps to get to where they want to be. But yes, it's right now that it's magazine-fed type guns is what they're calling assault weapons. So that would be an assault weapon right there, along with everything else on this wall except for this rifle right here. This rifle would not be considered an assault weapon, but everything else is pretty much considered an assault weapon by their definition of that bill. It's pathetic, man. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable that we have gotten to this point where, 10 years ago, if you would have seen legislation like that, people's hair would have caught on fire because you would have been like, what? That is so unconstitutional. How are we even allowing those words to dry on a piece of paper with the ink they're printed on without going crazy over it? But we've gotten so dumbed down and so numb and so used to seeing stupid things like this that now it takes a handful of us to get aggravated, and then everybody goes on about their business and it's not a big deal. We got to stay pissed off about stuff like this, guys. We got to stay mad about these types of things. The next thing that I'm sure you guys have already heard about is this mess right here. New York, go figure, New York is proposing a social media check before you can buy a gun. How awesome is that? It's funny how all of these politicians that want to propose stuff like this, they are so stupid because they don't really think far enough ahead to realize that these same things are going to apply to them. Now, I'm speaking at the state level, not at the federal level. We all know, and I know it's going to piss me off to even say these words out loud, we all know that everybody in Washington, D.C. is above the law. We always say no one is above the law. They are. Let's face it, guys. Every politician in Washington, D.C. is above the law. The law does not apply to congresspersons and senators, the president, anybody else that works in Washington, D.C. Let's face it, that's the hard truth, but it is the truth. They are all above the law. But at the state level, these people are so stupid because they don't realize all of these things are going to affect their own friends, their own families. How many of these state reps do you have over there in New York who are cheating on their wives, who are looking at child porn, who are looking for, I don't know, underage prostitutes? Seriously, you know what's happening. These people one day, this goes back 3 years. What they're proposing is that you can go back before you buy a gun, that they're going to have the ability to go back and check for a 3-year period of time prior to going, before you were applying for that gun. 3 years, they can go back and look at all your social media posts and your Google searches, your search engine searches on the internet. How many people out there that are getting behind this are going to fall prey to their own law because of the dirty, deceitful crap that they have going on in their own lives that they don't think anybody's ever going to have access to, but yet they're trying to put laws out there aimed at just us, not realizing that it's going to apply to them too at some point. You know I'm right. It's going to happen. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So now that means that, think about this. When you have a group of people, because somebody's going to have to be hired to do this, you have a group of people who their job is, let me just pick one of you. Let's call it a Shark Chucker. I'm just using you as an example because your name popped up. Let's say Shark Chucker wants to buy a gun. And just last week, he was on Facebook and somebody said something about, I don't know, wanting to kill his family because he was a gun-loving guy. I hope all your family dies. You know what? Because you see that. I've had it told to me. I've had people say on a bump stock video that I put out, I hope somebody gets a bump stock and kills you and all your family with it. So Let's say Shark Chucker is in a conversation, a heated conversation on Facebook in a group somewhere or a CNN post or something like that, and he's supporting guns, and they say, I hope I hope your daughter gets raped by a gun-loving guy or whatever. And he responds, if you approach me or my family or my daughter, I'm going to put a bullet in your ass. That right there will keep him from being able to get a gun. That's going to keep him, because it's not like it's a computer that this data is going to be fed into and it's going to be unbiased whenever it decides what's not going to allow you to buy a gun and what will allow you to buy a gun. The whole intent of putting this law in place is to keep people from buying guns. I mean, seriously, it's not going to be, this isn't being written and designed to allow people to buy guns. It's written as a deterrent to keep people from buying guns. So they're looking for every little thing they can to keep you from buying guns. All they need is a little bit. What if you post a meme of a gun or some kind of little cute little meme about, come and take it? That's going to imply that you're daring somebody to come take your gun because you're going to shoot them with it. You think I'm crazy? All it takes is the person looking at it. What if this little soft soy boy candy ass who goes by a girl's name because he's not sure what he is the one in charge of looking at Shark Chucker's social media posts? He's obviously already, or she is already obviously not pro-gun. So he sees one thing that can be construed as being violent and pro-gun. Nope. Big X in the box. You can't buy a gun. Now, you can best believe that once you get put on that list because you have bad social media stuff that they don't want to see, all of a sudden, don't think that the next time you go to buy a gun, even if that 3-year period has moved off, that you're going to be okay. Now you're going to be like, I guess what like would be a past criminal would be. Now you got a record. Now you have a record. They have found something on you. So even if that 3 years rolls off and everybody gets really, really polite and really, really nice on social media, if that 3 years rolls off, that will still be on your record. It'll still be out there that you were permitted or not permitted to buy guns because of something you said on social media. So that very well could prevent you from being able to get anything going forward indefinitely. Who knows how long? Not to mention your search engines. Oh my God, what's the worst search engine that I've written? There's times I have actually done searches. Okay, here's a perfect example. This is ideal. When the Boston City Marathon bombers blew things up, did you know that you could make a bomb out of a pressure cooker? I didn't. I honestly didn't. I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know you can make bombs out of cooking stuff, So I Googled, how do you make a bomb out of a pressure cooker? Because I was like, what the hell am I even reading? That's going to put me on the list. That's going to prevent me from buying a gun. Hell, I'm surprised I didn't get a black helicopter flying over my house and somebody coming in here to question me on that. I was just curious. It's gotten to the point now where if laws like this end up passing, we're going to have to be careful in the privacy of our own home of how we look for information on the internet. Because even if you word it the wrong way, it's going to be misconstrued. This is a slippery slope. This is a slippery slope. I don't like what I'm seeing on that stuff, guys. Next topic I have. Wow, this is a crazy one here. All right, have you guys heard? You know what I say? If you drink them, if you got them, drink them. I'm sporting the Yuengling Light Lager tonight. Okay. You may or may not have seen some of the hubbub going around this week about the ruling that's coming down. I don't know if it was accidentally released or if it was released on purpose, just as a testing the waters to see what's going to happen or what. But I know that they released the ATF's, or actually it's the Office of Information and Regulatory Affairs, released their letter on bump stocks. The ruling by the ATF is coming down very, very soon. I would say within a week or two. They conveniently waited until after midterm elections to do this, but it's coming down because this leaked out or got put out. I don't know. This isn't the official word by the ATF, but it probably will be. So this is close enough. If anything, it's enough to raise alarm. I'm going to go back for a second. And look, guys, I'm producing a video right now that I'm almost done with, and it's going to tell you everything that I'm talking about here. But it's going to be packaged a little bit more pretty than what I'm going to be blabbing about right here. So if you don't really want to listen to me talk about this now, go take a break, because I'll have a really good video coming out that's going to highlight all this. But I'm going to go back to June 7th of 2010. June 7th of 2010 is when you'll see right here, Department of Justice put out or gave this letter to, it was probably SlideFire, I would imagine. I think it is SlideFire that put this out. They sent a sample, went through the same process that they're supposed to for a bump stock. And as you can see the date here, June 7th, 2010. They sent their sample, just so you know how the process is. When you have something that you want to be approved, firearm related, you send a sample of that, an actual item of that, and I think you have to send 2 of them, actually. I'm not exactly sure, but I think you do. The ATF takes them, they use them, they fire them, they see how they work, they break them down, they look at the parts. Then they determine if it's a regulatable item or unregulatable. If it's going to fall under NFA, or if it's going to be a non-NFA item that anybody can just buy, if it's a firearm or if it's a non-firearm. In this letter in 2010, they determined that a bump stock, and I will read, I quote, "The stock has no automatically functioning mechanical parts or springs and performs no automatic mechanical function." Goes down a couple of more sentences, and it says, "Accordingly, we find that the bump stock is a firearm part and is not regulated as a firearm under the Gun Control Act or the National Firearms Act." This is an accurate letter. I'm not saying this in favor of bump stocks. I'm saying this in the fact that it is factually accurate. Because these are parts. These are accessories. These are things that are not regulated, that we can put on a gun and take off of a gun, and we don't need anybody's permission to do that. The ATF ruled properly here. Well, then we had the Las Vegas shooting. We had one crime, allegedly, with a bump stock. And I say allegedly because all I've seen is pictures on the floor of a gun, and I've heard a rapid firing gun from the actual video of the murder. So I don't know. I mean, guys, they have been way too protective about information coming from that Las Vegas shooting 1 year, over 1 year, 12, 13 months after that Las Vegas shooting. I don't know any more today than I knew 2 weeks after the shooting. And that's the truth. All these pictures leaked out 2 to 3 weeks after the shooting, and then nothing, no other information has come out. So this guy uses supposedly bump stock in one crime ever. There's no other crime in America that has been committed, or in the world for that matter, that's been committed with a bump stock. One. They seized on this opportunity to try to jump on a bump stock, all right? Trump got involved. You guys know my thoughts on Trump. I voted for Trump. I support Trump. A lot of things Trump stands for, I stand for. Trump is wrong on guns. Trump doesn't understand guns. He just doesn't. Trump's not a gun guy. Trump used to be a Democrat. Democrats don't support guns, the Second Amendment. Trump could care less about guns. The Second Amendment crowd was a very convenient crowd for Trump to address and get on his side to get elected. As I've said before, Trump is a people pleaser. He wants people to like him. He wants people to support him. He wants the big crowds. He likes that kind of stuff. So by getting that gun crowd with him, there's 100 million people. There's 100 million people out there that have guns. He's got a massive following. All he's got to do is act like he likes guns. He doesn't have to understand them because he doesn't. But Trump stuck his foot in his mouth. I think he wished he could take this back. Because at the time, he immediately said that he wants his Department of Justice to do something about bump stocks, to ban them. Basically instructing his Department of Justice to ban bump stocks. Well, that's unconstitutional anyway. You can't do that. Not because of the Second Amendment. And I'll come back to that in a minute. It's not his right to decide what should or shouldn't be banned any more than it was Barack Obama's right to be able to do that. But nevertheless, he did that. He instructed the ATF and the Department of Justice to move on this, and they did. They moved on it. Now, in another letter, their newest letter, they state, this rule is intended to clarify that the statutory definition of machine gun includes certain devices like bump stock type devices. When affixed to a firearm, allow that firearm to automatically, with a single function of the trigger, such that they are subject to regulation under the National Firearms Act and the Gun Control Act. So they went from correctly, the ATF did, correctly stating that they don't have any jurisdiction because it's a part, it's an accessory, to now taking that part and that accessory and now saying that part itself is a machine gun. This is a bump stock. They are saying that this piece that I am moving, that alone is a machine gun. This is now going to be considered a machine gun, guys. Not this. This is a machine gun. If I take this off, this is not considered a machine gun. This alone is considered a machine gun. How stupid can you be? The ATF, oh my God, I would not ever want to work there. I read that after the Las Vegas shooting, and I don't have his name in here because I didn't print that out, but there is one of the heads of the ATF within days of the shooting. This is a guy who works for the ATF, the head of the ATF, actually sent an email to his technical team, the team that the firearms technology branch of the ATF, actually sent them an email questioning, are these things legal? This is the guy who's head of the ATF. I could understand if he was head of, I don't know, maybe transportation, and was asking if a certain bridge in South Dakota somewhere was safe to travel on. I get that. I understand that if you're transportation agency director, you don't know every single bridge in America that's safe for your trains to travel over. But if you are the director of the ATF, you don't have a whole lot of stuff to worry about. You basically read the National Firearms Act and the Gun Control Act, and that's all you get. That's all your job is. That's all you have to know. You have to know about things like this. So this is the guy, there's 500,000 bump stocks in the United States that supposedly are out there. And this guy has to ask one of his own employees, are these legal? Wow. My problem with this is, guys, and I don't know how many of you guys have even seen this, but right after, I mean within days of the Las Vegas shooting, my phone started ringing off the hook. I had the likes of Time Magazine, ABC, CBS, HBO, NPR, I forget who else. It's probably about 12.5 different publications that wanted my statement. Newsweek, all that's the ones that you would know of. The Huffington Post, they all wanted my opinion. Somehow or another, they assumed I was an expert on guns. So they contacted me wanting my statement on bump stocks. And my interview with the guy from NPR was pretty interesting. Now, I won't say they took my words out of context, but they did edit my interview. So everything that I was trying to explain did not come through on the radio program. However, one thing I did say, and as I stated in my video that I did on this bump stock ban, I hate to say I told you so, but I told you so. I caught a lot of heat because in that video or in that interview with NPR, I told them when they asked me, do you think bump stocks should be banned? I said, I don't know. It's not my place to ban them. And I told them, I don't think the Second Amendment applies to bump stocks. This is out there. You guys can go do a search by Legally Armed America, NPR, and Paul Glasgow, and I guarantee you that recorded interview will come up somewhere. I made the comment that I did not feel that the Second Amendment applied to bump stocks because bump stocks were an accessory, just like optics. In so many words, that's what I told them. And that's what I meant. Now, the rest of my interview didn't come out because I clarified my position that I'm not willing to give the ATF the privilege to regulate a bump stock, whether they want to ban it or not ban it. They don't have that jurisdiction. And my comment to the NPR host that they never played was, if I tell the ATF that they can't ban a particular item, then I'm giving them that jurisdiction. I'm ceding that jurisdiction to them by saying that they have any kind of control over an item that they don't actually have control over. So you can't pick and choose what you want them to actually have control over. They either do or they don't. All these people that were out there crying, oh no, don't ban bump stocks. You know, the Second Amendment says shall not be infringed. And I'm sitting back here going, guys, quit telling them that. You're giving them permission to regulate something that they don't have permission to regulate over. They themselves said that. They said it in this very letter. They sent a letter out in 2010 saying that that's not our problem. We don't have jurisdiction over this because it's a part, it's an accessory. And all these idiots out there, there's some pro-gun YouTubers out there that were all over this, and they're friends of mine. Some of these guys are buddies of mine that are pro-gun Second Amendment guys, big-time YouTubers, way bigger than what I do. And they were all like, shall not be infringed means shall not be infringed. No kidding. I totally agree with that. But this is a part. This is a gun part. Do not give the ATF jurisdiction. Well, guess what? They have now assumed jurisdiction over a gun part, and they're banning it. Come on, man. We got to be smarter than this. All these pro-gun YouTubers out there that took that stand were feeding fuel, adding fuel to the fire, telling the ATF that they did, in fact, have the right to ban or not ban. You can't give the ATF the right to only not ban things. If you're going to give them the right to have any jurisdiction over it, they can do whatever they want. That's the danger of giving somebody control over something. They can either do something for it or against it. They're against it. We gave them that. We gave them that jurisdiction. How stupid of us to have done that. So as I say in my video, what's next? Seriously, what is next? So now that we're going to allow them to regulate non-firearms that just happen to be in the gun industry, but they are not firearms and they're not regulatable. But now we've opened up that door. Now we've set a precedent to allow them to regulate things that are not regulatable. So what's next? An optic? Let's say the next killer that decides to kill somebody takes a precision rifle with a Schmidt and Bender scope on it and shoots somebody at 1,100 yards. Then the next bill that we get, or the next request of the ATF, will be to not allow me or you to now possess a scope that can shoot beyond 250 yards, because no normal person, no hunter, no regular person like me or you would ever have any use for a long-range optic. So why shouldn't we just ban those too? Now nobody can have an optic that can see past 250 yards or 300 yards or 1,000 yards. I don't care what the number is. That's not something that should ever be regulatable. But we open the door by allowing them to assume that whole bump stock debacle and control over that. They assumed responsibility over that. So now, you think they're going to stop at that? How easily did we bend over and give it to them and let them take control over a frickin' part? That brings me back to the HR 7115. They're trying to regulate parts. That's in the frickin' bill. They're trying to make parts now illegal. Do you not see where all this is coming together, guys? We got bump stocks, which is parts and accessories, and we got trigger groups and other kinds of stuff like that that Congress is trying to regulate now. They're going after freaking parts, guys. And we're giving them all this control. Man, look, I am not a sky is falling kind of guy. I don't get in panic mode, and I'm just not that kind of guy. I'm not the kind of guy that says, you come to my house, I'm going to shoot all of you. That's just not me, guys. I follow the friggin' law. No matter how stupid the laws are, I follow them. I'm not going to jail. I don't want to become a felon overnight because I do something stupid to try to prove how patriotic I am. I'm not going to do this. You know, you got to come and take them. I will lose everything I have in this room. On all these walls in here, everything's gone when I become a felon. I'm not willing to give that up. Even though I don't like giving in to these stupid, unconstitutional anti-gun laws, I'm still not going to break these laws. If they tell me, where is that thing at? If they tell me that this is going to be illegal for me to possess, or else I will become a felon, you know what I will do? I will turn this thing in with a big smile on my face and say, here's your damn bump stock. I'm not going to jail over a gun part or accessory. The thing that pisses me off is we gave them the right to regulate it. Again, guys, I can't repeat this enough. They stated that they didn't want jurisdiction over these things. They said they didn't want it 8 years ago. How stupid are we to have let this happen? I mean, oh my God. All these YouTubers out there that said, shall not be infringed means shall not be infringed. Everybody ought to be emailing them saying right now, look what you did, you stupid idiot. The fight we should have been having is not whether or not the ATF bans bump stocks or not. It should have been to tell the ATF, bug out. We should have been telling the ATF, thank you for your letter in 2010 because you don't have any jurisdiction. You don't have a dog in this fight. Stay out of the argument. Stay out of it because you got no jurisdiction here. Because then what it would have done is it would have gone to Congress. Then if somebody wants to ban it, Congress would have had to ban it. That gives us the right to vote all them jackasses out that voted against something like the bump stock if you wanted it. But at least you could vote them out. Who are you going to vote out with the ATF? All these cowards, Republicans and Democrats, pushed this. They punted it to the ATF because we let them do it. We let the ATF assume jurisdiction, and they punted it to these guys so that none of these congresspersons had to make a real decision regarding bump stocks that might have been viewed as anti-gun and get them in trouble with their constituents. And now all of a sudden, they're all free and clear. Because believe me, Republicans too, this is not a Democrat bashing thing because a lot of Republicans, including Donald Trump, got behind this whole bump stock thing. But they're all looking at this new ruling that's going to be coming out by the ATF doing like this. Yep, we wanted bump stocks going, but I'm not on the record as having to get them out of here. So my vote is safe. None of these constituents out there, I don't care how anti-gun these people are, you can't pin this on any politicians and vote them out because we allowed them to punt it to the ATF. It shouldn't have happened. That should have gone through Congress. ATF should not be involved in this. Again, guys, this is an overreach by the ATF, and we allowed this to happen. I am pissed off about this. This bothers me. This really bothers me, guys, because this is something that should have never happened. I'm not big enough on the internet, on YouTube, anywhere, to control anything. I'm just not. I'm too small. You know, we have, what was it I checked the other day, 120,000 subscribers here on YouTube, 20-something million views on YouTube. I'm happy with that. But that's nothing compared to some of these big gun guys out there. Not one of them. Guys, I'm sorry. And I know I'm not trying to get you to not like these other YouTubers because they're friends of mine. But not one of them. They will now, but not one of them went on record before like I did to say the ATF has no business here. They've got no jurisdiction. I said word for word, the Second Amendment does not apply to bump stocks. And I caught crap for that. I had pro-gun guys saying they were going to not watch me anymore on YouTube because I was anti-gun. I was caving. I was a FUD. That stupid little term everybody, there's a FUD. It's a FUD. That I was a FUD because I was saying the Second Amendment did not apply to bump stocks. How stupid are people? This is what I was saying. I was trying to prevent this from happening. Oh my God, how I would love to have had at least one of those really popular YouTubers take my side in this instead of jumping to a conclusion and saying I was anti-gun and anti-Second Amendment, to listen to what I had to say and to see why I was trying to say it. I'm no attorney, but I understand things like this. And it bothers me that so many people look past that and just wanted to say that I was not taking their side, so I was anti-gun. No, it wasn't an anti-bump stock position that I was taking. It was an anti-ATF position that I was taking. It wasn't their right. It wasn't a right that we were giving to them. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I'm fed up with this. Again, I'm working on a video right now. The freaking video is like 20 minutes long. I mean, I lay out all this stuff. I see it to where you can read it. I don't know. And look, Misfit Minuteman asked, and I'll ask the same question. What do we do now? You know, I don't know. I honestly don't know. All I can, first of all, I'm very bothered that we would allow the ATF, anybody for that matter, but the ATF to take the Gun Control Act or the National Firearms Act, go in there and allow them to go into it and restructure and rewrite definitions of various things. How can that even happen? That's like saying somebody can just go in there and tweak the Constitution a little bit. You don't just tweak these bills that have been in place for all. I'm not saying I agree with the NFA or the GCA, but you don't just allow somebody to go in there and tweak them a little bit to fit their agenda. It's not how things work. That should go through Congress. If they are truly going to go through, if the ATF is going to go through here and now assume responsibility and reword the NFA to now say that a bump stock is a machine gun, that's got to go through Congress. Congress has to approve rewriting a definition in the Gun Control Act. That's not the right and responsibility of the ATF. It's just not. It's got to be approved by somebody. This is an unelected group of people who are rewriting something that's going to affect the constitutional rights of everybody in America. Do you see why this is such a farce to me? Oh, God, it pisses me off, man. I'm so bothered by this news and how it's being handed out. I'm kind of bothered that more people aren't pissed off about it. Maybe once they make an official ruling and it comes out, maybe that's when people will get pissed off. Or, just maybe, once old Billy goes down to the gun range after this thing is made into law and he whips out his bump stock and starts to shoot it and the ATF shows up and throws his butt in jail and gives him 10 years and makes him a felon, and he's got 2 kids at home with no food to eat and a wife can't eat with another kid on the way, maybe that's when people start getting pissed off. Maybe that's when. Or maybe not. You know, the American public these days, I think most of you guys will agree, the American public is more concerned with dicking around on their phones and, you know, stupid things on television. Who won American Idol, even if that's even still on TV, I don't even know. But that's what the American public is so sidetracked with. Meanwhile, we just let our constitutional rights get eroded away. Don't say anything about it. We get pissed off whenever we see it on Facebook. We bang out a couple of responses and comments. We tell a couple of liberals that they're snowflakes, and then we go about our business again. Don't think anything about it again. Man, we got to start calling people. We got to be emailing. We got to go to congresspersons' offices. We got to tell them this is bull crap, man. This thing here, I'm going to tell you what I believe. I don't believe, honestly, that this thing will stick. That's just my personal opinion. I just don't see how it can stick. It's unconstitutional. It's not right. It's being done wrong. The wording is incorrect. They set their own precedent when they sent the 2010 letter out versus what they recently sent out. This letter right here is going to be precedent that will supersede, I think, this. I think that the problem is it's got to go to court first because it will be enacted as law. So it has to go to court. Somebody's got to sue somebody. Somebody has to sue the federal government for disenfranchising them before it ever goes anywhere, before it can ever be struck down. So a lot of things have to happen before this can be removed. So it's easy to implement it, but it's a hell of a lot harder to back it up and to undo this. So that's the hard things, guys. It's just it's not a hopeless case, because I do believe our court system, thank God our Supreme Court is pro-gun. Thank God. Now, let's hope they don't cave like the Republicans do, but I have more confidence in the Supreme Court than I do in any other body in America. The Republicans, Democrats, Congress, the Senate, the president, no confidence in any of them to do anything that is truly pro-Second Amendment. The Supreme Court, I do have confidence in them. Obviously not the ones that are pro-gun, but we do have the majority, and I think that is our saving grace. So these cases, in my opinion, will probably have to make it to the Supreme Court, because all other courts are so darn liberal. They're going to make it through those courts. They're not going to allow us to sue anybody or the federal government. But hopefully some of these cases will make it to the Supreme Court, and at that point, this gets reversed and undone. That might be 10 years down the road. I mean, truthfully, it could be. It's not going to happen overnight. Man, I'm bothered by this, as y'all can tell. Not cool. Not cool. This is something that's I've been thinking about for a long time. I guess it pisses me off more that it's almost like the whole Paul Revere thing. When he was saying the British were coming, at least people listened to him. When I was trying to say that this is not a Second Amendment issue, nobody wanted to listen to me. In fact, they took it just the opposite way and were thinking I was being anti-Constitution myself, without thinking that I'm not talking down on bump stocks. I'm talking down on the ATF. They don't belong in this argument. So anyway, guys, that's my spiel. That's my aggravation. I'm going to have to drink an extra beer tonight because this really pisses me off. Too many things that we just can't let happen like this, guys. We got to talk. I'm going to try to think of something. I don't care if it is a let's see, what is it? Oh gosh, is it gosh, not GoFundMe. What's the other damn what's the other place that you can go in there and petition people with? It might be something with petitions. I don't know. I've done that before. I've actually gotten my way using one of those before. What is it? I can't believe I can't think of it now. It's a way that you get people. Change.org. Yes, whoever that. Damu Imran. Change.org. I put a petition out a couple of years ago. I have a special needs son, and something happened with the insurance company, tried to screw us, and I put a Change.org petition out, and it will automatically, you can go choose who you want the petition to go to, and it automatically went to Barack Obama, Joe Biden, every member of Congress that I could put in there, all of my state and local reps, all those folks. I had it go to everybody, including the insurance company in question. Guys, I'm not exaggerating. Within one day, the coverage they were trying to deny my special needs son was reinstated. So it does make a difference whenever we do things. When we get pissed off about something and we do it professionally and we do things that are legit, things happen. So I know a lot of people, we fall into the trap that it doesn't matter because it's just me. No, things gather steam. You know what I mean? When we do things and we get pissed off about something, a lot of times those things will gather steam and they grow and they grow and they grow and they grow. And when these politicians see that these things are growing, look, politicians don't get into politics because they want a challenge. Let's face it, they just don't. Politicians get into politics to get rich because they want their egos fed and they want a cake job. They don't want to have to work hard. So when you put forth things that start to grow and get some attention, they want to stamp that out as fast as possible because they have a little golf tournament that they want to go to. They have a recital. And I'm not dogging those things. I'm just using that as an example because that's probably the stuff that they do. They have all these fancy cocktail parties and all that. They don't want to be bothered with us regular people. So when they can appease us regular people by sometimes doing what we want them to do to make us shut up, then sometimes they're going to do that. There's a very good chance we get a hold of some of these politicians that are just outright lazy. And if we can change their mind and get them to reverse something like this, I'm not saying I'm even okay with Congress taking this on and voting on it, because Congress, it would hopefully it would die in Congress. But at least if it had the chance to go through Congress, those are people that we elected, and we can unelect those people if we don't like the way that they vote. So if this would go to Congress instead of the ATF, and the congresspersons voted, say, for this to ban them, we go vote them out of office, and we tell them why. They learn their lesson. They're out of they're out of DC. The next guy that comes in knows why he won the election, because he knows this other guy voted for bump stocks to be banned. So now we get him out, or we don't elect him in. So there are repercussions for what you do and how you vote. Again, that's why these cowards in Washington, D.C. punted this whole thing to the ATF so that they wouldn't have to make a decision on it. But it belongs in Congress. That's who needs to be voting on this kind of stuff. Guys, I'm going to open up. We got 5 minutes, and I apologize. I was pissed off, and I had a few things I wanted to go over. I will open it up to questions. If you guys will, please, address me like legally or in America in your comments so that it pops up orange so that I can see, that you're asking me a question, because I would like to definitely address some of your comments and questions. Yeah, sometimes votes and laws don't do much, but it's better than nothing, honestly. Warsaw Patriot. Yeah. Yes, Kentucky Hillbilly Engineer for Life asks, wait a minute, if Congress says yes, can the president veto the bill? Actually, absolutely he can. A bill has to go, bills are tough to get passed. It has to pass the House, then it has to pass the Senate. When it goes to the Senate, it has to pass with the exact same wording that the House passed it. If the Senate rewrites the bill to either add new stuff in it or to rewrite or reword the bill, then it nullifies it, and now it goes back to the House again. And now the House has to pass. Both houses, the House and the Senate, have to pass an identical bill before it ever goes to the president's desk. That's usually the holdup. The holdup is usually that you've got the House putting all this crap in a bill. That bill goes off to the Senate. Then the Senate wants some kind of a snail tunnel under the interstate for some other bill, because if I'm going to vote for this, you got to give me something. Or they want a new treadmill for shrimp to see how running affects all that kind of crap. You know what I'm saying? Well, now the Senate wants these things added to their bill, so that screws it up for the representatives in the House, because now it has to go back to the House. Then once it does that, it has to go to the president's desk. Personally, I don't think any of these bills can pass the Senate, but we're leaving it up to Republican politicians, and I don't trust them. My biggest fear is if it passes the House and the Republican Senate and goes to Trump's desk, I do think Trump, especially on bump stocks, I think Trump would definitely ban bump stocks. But other gun bills scare me, because I think Trump, if he feels like the general public wants this, I feel like no matter how anti-Second Amendment it is, I do feel like he would support it. That's just my opinion, guys. And I'm a Trump voter. I voted for Trump, and I'll vote for him again. At this point, I would vote for him again. Damu Imran says, do you think we can get rid of the Norinco ban? How stupid that we even have a Norinco ban. I mean, seriously, how stupid is that? No, I don't think we can get rid of the Norinco ban. Norinco ban is basically the banning of Chinese import of weapons, AK-47s, even 1911s. I saw a Norinco 1911 at a gun show last week, and I'm pissed off that I didn't get it. I should have got it. It was a pre-banned Norinco 1911. I didn't go back to the gun show, and I didn't get it. I'm so pissed off, because I would have liked to have bought that. It was reasonably priced, too. No, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think Trump even understands what the Norinco ban is. So, I mean, you'd have to convince everybody what it is. And then they'd figure, we got plenty of guns. We don't need to import more. Seriously, that's how they're going to think, right? Big Mo says, I fear Trump will turn on the 2A for his wall. He will sacrifice us. I agree. I think Trump will cave when the time comes. I mean, I hate saying that because, again, I voted for him. Yes, the president can still veto any bill, Keith Gregory asks. Killer Coiler says, laws are like padlocks. They keep honest people honest, but do nothing to regulate those already compliant. Criminals will still go around in gun laws and do the same things, blah, blah, blah. Yep, totally. You're preaching to the choir, bro. We all say the same thing. Warsaw Patriot says, I disagree with you. Not fighting on a law that is an infringement on a bump stock. You're a free man and fight against the bullshit illegal law. Well, we're going to agree to disagree because fighting, I'm not saying not to fight a law on the infringement of bump stocks because bump stocks should not be banned. The ATF is not the group to be banning them. I'm not sure if you understood what I was trying to say the whole time that I was talking here, but by giving the ATF jurisdiction to regulate bump stocks gives them the same jurisdiction to regulate any other device, part, or accessory. We will certainly agree to disagree. And I wish I could change your mind because that is not a good stance to take. That is not an infringement. It is an infringement on your personal things that you buy, like a pair of shoes. Banning a bump stock is no different than banning leather belts or banning koozies for your beer or banning beer. It's not a Second Amendment issue. It's absolutely not a Second Amendment issue. And the ATF has no jurisdiction there. No one will ever convince me otherwise. That's the way it is. That's the way the law is written. And I fully understand the law. And they have no jurisdiction there. It's not right. Kentucky Hillbilly Engineer for Life says, laws are like money. They come and take. That's my opinion. Yep, I agree with that. Let's see. Yeah, Edward, national reciprocity is not going to happen. Not with, I mean, come on. It's got to pass the House first, right? I mean, it's got to pass the House. The House ain't passing nothing pro-gun. We can hang up reciprocity. We can hang up the Hearing Protection Act or the SHARE Act, any of that kind of stuff. Hang it all up, at least for 2 years. The best we can hope for is Trump gets reelected and the Republicans take back Congress. Let me tell you something. If the Republicans have a chance to take back Congress, Trump's probably going to win again, especially if Hillary Clinton, oh my God. As much as I don't want to hear that screechy ass woman's voice for a year, listening to her campaign, oh my God, I hope she runs. She's one of the most awful, horrible human beings on the face of the earth. I hope the Democrats nominate her. I don't think they will because they'll lose. There's no way they can win. But I don't know. Hey, let's wait and see. Let's wait and see. But 2020 could be a beautiful year. So if we get to the point where we think all these things are going to flip in our favor, then we really need to start priming these guys that get elected in November of 2020 and say, hey, guys, you're not going to last long if you go anti-gun on me. You better stay pro-gun. And these are some of the things that I want you to think about. We need to start planting those seeds early. Don't give them the chance to say, oh, man, my 2 years is up, so I'm not going to be able to get anything in. No, let's start early. Let's start before they even take office, before they're even sworn in. Let's start floating these bills out there to them. Hell, I'll write them for them if they want me to. Jay Griff says, what gun would you want for our Black Friday sale? Man, you talking about guns that y'all have or guns that I would just want in general? Because y'all have one gun that I need to pick up one day. I need to get it. I think y'all have two. I think that IWI that we talked about, that Jericho, but also that PTR that y'all have. I really like that gun. That's a nice one. Let's see. Let me see, guys. Interesting. Keith Gregory says, when will the 2020 campaign kick off? Man, I'm surprised it hasn't officially kicked off yet. Anything Trump does from here on out is basically his reelection campaign. I mean, seriously, any stop he makes, any rally he has is pretty much, the next step. I would not be surprised, as much as the Republicans hate having an anti-establishment guy like Trump in there, it would not shock me if other candidates don't try to come forward and challenge Trump for the Republican nomination. That might be where things get really kind of nutty. So that wouldn't be till next year. Maybe probably the end of next year. Summertime or the end of next year is when that would probably start happening. Trying to think, I don't know, the Democrats, the ones that want to be considered for the nomination have already started. Cory Booker, that's that wacko up there in New Jersey who grabbed a gay man's penis in a bathroom, but yet nobody's talking about it. This guy sexually assaults another man in a bathroom. Nobody wants to talk about it. Kavanaugh is alleged to have done something 36 years ago, and the country still won't stop talking about it. Unbelievable, the double standards that we have. Anyway, Cory Booker, Kamala Harris is going to run. Elizabeth Warren is going to run. I'm not sure about Hillary. Joe Biden may run. Gosh, what is his name? The crazy wacko governor from Virginia. I can't remember his name right now. He'll most likely run as a Democrat. Beto O'Rourke, Robert O'Rourke, the guy that ran against Ted Cruz in Texas. They love this guy. Another white guy. Much as they hate white guys, they're acting like this guy is the savior. So all these guys out there, I can promise you there will be somebody Hispanic will step up on the Democrat side. There's this guy, Guzman, not Guzman, what's his name? I want to say he did not run for his next term as a representative or a senator. I'm not exactly sure. But the whole reason why he didn't run is because he's priming himself to run for president. I mean, a Hispanic guy would have some traction. I mean, because there's so many Hispanics that are in the country right now. So, yeah, man, I mean, that's going to be very interesting. Man, I know I got to run here. I'm just going to tell you guys, let's hold up on what we should do. The ruling that I'm pissed off about that the ATF is talking about has not officially come out. I do believe that because it's written and the way it's worded, that this is probably how it's going to stand. But I'm not going to start setting things on fire until I know for a fact that that's actually how they're going to word it. After that, I'm going to have to think of something because I'm not going to be able to just stand by and let this happen, guys. I'm not comfortable doing that. I feel like I'm letting myself down, my family down, fellow patriots and Second Amendment people. I feel like I'm letting everybody down, if I don't do something. We got to figure something out. We really do, man, because I'm just not comfortable with this whole thing, how it's going. Between HR 7115, where they're trying to attack gun parts, and then this ATF ruling where they're trying to regulate gun parts with it being a bump stock. It's just talk about a slippery slope. This is some bad stuff right here. Guys, I'm going to get on out of here. I'm going to go finish this beer. I might drink one more before I go to bed. I hope you guys have a good night. Have a good weekend. Looks like pretty good weekend down here in Louisiana. So hopefully it sounds like it's going to be a good enough weekend to go to the range no matter what you're doing. Competition shooting. I know we got USPSA competition tomorrow. Or just going to the range, maybe some precision shooting, or maybe just going to the range and banging some shots off. If you do that, please be safe. Watch out for the nutties out there that don't know what they're doing. Try to teach them a little gun safety. We don't need anybody getting hurt accidentally because that just gives the anti-gun people more fuel to fight us. So, yeah, definitely, definitely one of those kind of things where we want to make sure that we're safe and we do everything we're supposed to do as responsibly as we can. If you're drinking tonight, again, as I always say, guys, please don't drive. Get you a designated driver. And we will definitely see you guys next week, I hope. It's the day after Thanksgiving. We got an early Thanksgiving this year. I'm hoping I will be on here next Thursday night. Who knows? I'm off, obviously, Thursday because it's Thanksgiving. Maybe we do something next Wednesday night. Maybe we do something then. But I'll let you guys know. I'll make some post video or something like that and we'll do that. Guys, I appreciate you as always. It's really flattering to me that so many of you hang out with me on a Friday night like this, and we will definitely see you one of the days next week. I will see you guys. Take care, guys.